Mercedes' big F1 announcement. So we're gonna be going through that and 5 other stories in today's video. So make sure to like this video, and if you want more Mercedes news content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel hitting that red button down below. The first story is Toto Wolff makes big announcement about Mercedes F1 2023 chances. Mercedes boss Toto Wolff admits his side may be no closer to rivals Red Bull at the start of F1 2023. After falling behind Red Bull and Ferrari to third place in the F1 constructors standings in a hugely challenging 2022 campaign that saw the team register just a single race victory, Mercedes are hoping to be back in the hunt for titles this season. Mercedes' troubled W13 was compromised by porpoising and bouncing, but the Silver Arrows hope to have put their issues behind them after spending the majority of last year getting to the bottom of the problem. And Wolff hopes Mercedes can use the learnings of last season's struggles to unlock the full potential of their new car, the W14. I think we have understood how we fell back, where the shortcomings are, and where we have gaps in understanding, Wolff said. We're working hard on putting a car on the ground that has addressed all of that, but we will only see when starting testing whether we have unlocked the potential that we believe has always been in the car. After enduring his worst season in F1, Lewis Hamilton will be hoping to get back to winning ways by dethroning arch-rival Max Verstappen to claim a record-breaking 8th world title. Meanwhile, George Russell will be looking to build on his impressive rookie Mercedes season that saw him take the team's only win and become just the second teammate in the last 6 years to beat Hamilton in the World Championship. However, Wolff insisted Mercedes remain cautious about their chances at the start of 2023 amid fears Red Bull could maintain the advantage they held at the end of last year. We have no doubt, when you're starting behind by half a second, that it's going to be difficult to catch up to such great organizations like Red Bull or Ferrari, he continued. Now, having said that, we are super determined in doing just that, but we need to set our expectations at a realistic level. If we perform in the way we hope, then we'd like to be part of the racing at the very front. I think that would be a starting point, but we don't take that for granted. It could well be that the gaps are like they were at the end of last season. I think there is so much potential still that within our car, within the concept, the way we drive the car, etc., that maybe our development slope can be steeper in the months to come. The second story is Hamilton reportedly chasing €142 million 2-year Mercedes deal. 7-time F1 world champion Lewis Hamilton is chasing a 2-year deal with Mercedes worth a rumored €142 million. The lucrative new contract, the numbers of which should be taken with a grain of salt given the confidentiality of the talks between Hamilton and Mercedes, would cover the 2024 and 2025 seasons and likely the Britain's final period in F1. According to French sports business website Sportoon, Hamilton's potential €70 million per season retainer would represent a significant markup from his current €45 million a year deal. However, contrary to his current contract, Hamilton's future deal would not include a €25 million bonus provision awarded to the Briton for winning the world title. Sportoon also claims that most of Hamilton's salary would be paid by Mercedes' partner Ineos, while provisions also include donations to the Hamilton-founded charity Mission 44. As a reminder, Ineos founder and chairman Jim Ratcliffe, who has an estimated net worth of $15 billion according to Forbes magazine, is a part owner of the Mercedes F1 team along with Mercedes-Benz and team boss Toto Wolff. The report also contends that Hamilton's new deal would also include a future ambassadorship for the Briton with Mercedes-Benz worth approximately €25 million per year. Last week, Toto Wolff said that he expected to iron out Hamilton's new contract with Mercedes over a few hours of talks between the two parties. In the last 10 years our relationship has grown that it's just a matter of him physically being back in Europe, sticking our heads together, wrestling a bit and then leaving the room with white smoke after a few hours, commented Wolff. The third story is Mercedes already prepared to let Mick Schumacher go before first F1 race of year. Mercedes will be happy to let Mick Schumacher leave if another Formula One team offers a race seat. That's according to team principal Toto Wolff, who signed the German as a reserve after Haas decided not to renew his race seat contract. It wasn't long after Schumacher's axing that the Austrian made it clear he wanted to bring him into the Mercedes fold. Mick is someone that has always been close to our heart because of Michael and the whole Schumacher family. Ralph was in the DTM for a long time with us. His son races Mercedes and GTs, Wolff declared at the time. and is an intelligent, well-mannered young man. He's been very successful in junior formulas. We believe that we can look after him if the situation were to happen with someone that just fits the team. Schumacher has begun his role as a reserve for Lewis Hamilton and George Russell. Among his duties will be simulator and promotional work, though as it stands, his only chances of racing competitively in F1 will be if one of their main drivers is unable to compete for any reason. I believe that if we can provide him with a safe environment to develop further, he can be a good driver in a full-time seat in the future, Wolff said this week of his situation. He went on to say that, like they did with former reserve Nick de Vries, they will be happy to let Schumacher leave if a chance to race comes along. He added, "We had to let Nick go in the same way for him to have a career. Now that could also happen with Mick. Whether it's with our team or whether we have to let him go, we don't know yet." Haas's decision to replace Schumacher was, at least in part, due to the German's record of costly crashes. He was deemed to have brought in too few points to make up for those mistakes and has been replaced by the more experienced Nico Hülkenberg. Mercedes have signed the 23-year-old with no concerns on that front. Wolff is confident that he will prove to be an asset for the team, especially when it comes to helping to assess car developments and setups over the course of the year. The team principal continued, "He will contribute enormously as he has already driven the new car and he has been in Formula One for 2 years. He will be super helpful in the simulator and when judging the car. It's good to have him on track and in the debriefing area." The fourth story will Porpoising haunt Mercedes again in F1 2023. The 2023 season is proving to be extremely interesting from a technical point of view, even before the first launch of the new single-seaters. Not necessarily because of any rumors regarding specific solutions adopted by the teams which could reveal the secrets of their respective project, but more so because of the hypothetical performance of the cars this season. We are referring to the aerodynamic performances, which will be affected by the introduction of the new rules for ride heights as well as increased control of the plank and floor flexibility, along with side ground clearance, which should initially have been lower than 2022. In practice, it was assumed that would result in a loss of downforce load between 12 and 15%, with the teams aiming to recover these values by the start of the second half of the season. The reduced values of downforce, however, would have contributed further to the cancellation of the porpoising. This phenomenon is induced all the more by higher loads produced by the floor which, combined with low ride heights, causes the structure of the underlying flow to break up, triggering the jolts. With partial surprise, we learned from various aerodynamicists that the initial load values produced will be equivalent to those at the end of 2022. In practice, despite only being in the definition phase of the aerodynamic projects of the new cars, the teams were able to negate the loss of downforce expected from the enforcement of the new regulations. Furthermore, it's interesting that the additional downforce points are expected to be obtained already in the first developments, i.e., anticipated for the first races immediately after the tests in Bahrain. This is an important fact in the economy of the next championship in terms of reshuffling the team's pecking order. In practice, with the increase of downforce, it is plausible that the phenomenon of porpoising, despite the countermeasures of the regulation, can again manifest itself in the 2023 cars. In essence, the cars that had been particularly afflicted by it last season could find themselves facing the same problem, especially if teams kept the same design features in anticipation of the aerodynamics loads being lower. It is clear that the above points could relate to Mercedes, where, it seems, the aerodynamic concept of the W14, at least apparently, will not differ much from the previous one. Obviously, these are speculation for now, but if they were confirmed by the facts, one could definitely imagine which concepts will be favored and which will be penalized more. The fifth story is how Hamilton has changed as an F1 driver at Mercedes. But what is notably different between the current 7-time world champion and the driver who joined the squad back in 2013 as a single title winner is his approach. His years of experience at Brackley, through many highs and lows, have given Hamilton a wealth of data to fall back on and the knowledge of where to focus his efforts. Nobody is perhaps better placed within Mercedes to offer insight into how Hamilton has evolved as a driver than the team's trackside engineering director Andrew Shovlin. As the man who has been at the coalface in leading the engineering aspects of Hamilton and Mercedes' title ambitions, he has noticed an interesting evolution. "I've worked with Lewis now for a long time and he is a driver who has a really impressive feel for what the car is doing," Shovlin told Autosport in an exclusive interview. "If you can get the car where he needs it to be, we know far and well what he's capable of. And yeah, we've worked with each other for sufficiently long enough that we can have whatever conversations need to be had. We all like to think we develop as we go through our careers, and if you knew what you know today 10 years ago, then I think we'd all have been more successful. Lewis, as a driver, puts an awful lot of effort into looking for where that edge is going to come from. That constant searching for how he can emerge into a new season as an even better driver than the one that we had before is just born out of his love of winning. He doesn't want to be beaten. He's very engaged with the engineering process now. He's talking to all on the aerodynamic side and vehicle dynamics side. He's very familiar with all the people within the team, and he knows where to go to ask questions and give feedback. Ultimately, it's a problem that we'll all solve together. Chauvelin thinks that where Hamilton has improved the most is working out which areas he needs to devote his key efforts to extract more from a car, and more importantly, how to get the team to deliver what he needs. I think the mechanism by which he is always looking to improve has always been there. The difference is he has realized how much more he can draw out of the team and the people around him to help that learning and that improvement phase, explained Chauvelin. And that's the thing, he's become more and more comfortable and settled within the team and confident and happy to go and speak to different people about different areas. He's just drawing more effectively on the resource.